up, everybody? How are we doing? Welcome to episode 57 of Who Gives a Dram. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a new listener, I appreciate you checking out the show. It means a lot to me. If you're a returning listener, as always, I appreciate the support. The best way to support the show, tell a friend about Who Gives a Dram. Make sure you're subscribed on all audio platforms. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, like the videos on YouTube, all that good stuff. Leave a rating and review on iTunes. It's the best way to support the show. Tell a friend. Tell a friend if you like Who Gives a Dram. I would appreciate that very much. As always, this podcast is brought to you by The Grapevine Media, www.thegrapevinemedia.com. Make sure you go check us out over there. Make sure you go to manscaped.com/grapevinemedia. You'll get a 25% off your entire order throughout the entire holiday season. Keep your balls clean. Keep yourself feeling good. Keep yourself looking good so you perform good. That's my motto. I've been saying that since I was a kid. And that's the business I've got for the show, you guys. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been here, just you and I. We're doing a late record this week on the show. I have a really busy week coming up. Lots of things to do. It's the week before Christmas. And there's just a lot of planning to go around. A lot of things that I'm doing that I can't quite talk about yet, but we're going to talk about it in the near future. And it just makes for a busy week. So I'm actually recording this on Monday night. It's 9:30 on the dot right now. And I just got home from work. Maybe 15 minutes ago. So I'm still kind of tired, but it's another hashtag late night podcast. So respectful. But before we get into any of the jokes or any of the fun, before we get into this beautiful bottle of Weller Antique 107 I have sitting here, there was a huge storm that affected Kentucky this past weekend. Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Illinois, Missouri, and Mississippi got struck by a massive tornado traveling over 200 miles per hour. They're saying it's the largest storm in the history of Kentucky, or at least in a very long time. It's being stated as of today, as of this recording, which is Monday, December 13th, that at least 74 people have died. And there are 109 people that remain unaccounted for. Thousands and thousands of homes destroyed and tens of thousands of lives changed forever. I know Mayfield, Kentucky, was a very large area hit. I don't know if it was considered the epicenter of the storm or what, but I do know that it was very serious. A lot to do with the warmer, the warm temperature front that moved throughout Kentucky and that kind of Midwestern region. Also, at least 14 people were killed in Arkansas, Illinois, Missouri, and Tennessee. There was an Amazon factory that was ripped apart. Just a lot of really bad things happening from that storm. I have an NPR article here so I can read facts. At least four EF3 and 5 EF2 tornadoes have been confirmed in Missouri and Illinois. An EF3 twister is considered significant or severe, with wind speeds reaching between 111 and 165 miles per hour. In Kentucky alone, the towns of Bowling Green, Saloma, and the area between Casey and Beaver Creek were also likely hit by an EF3 tornado. I mean, these things are just you can't prepare for these things, It happened out of the blue. It happened at kind of at the drop of a hat, and you can't prepare for the things. You can't prepare for a twister like that. You can't prepare for a tornado like that, going 120 miles per hour. And my heart goes out to the people that are affected by it. I'm lucky enough to have some close friends that live in Kentucky. To the best of my knowledge, nobody was affected that I know, um, and um, and I'm thankful for that. Um, I have a very good friend of mine, Paul from Bourbon with Friends, who is really been spearheading an effort to raise some money for the victims of of the storm, who lost lives, family members, homes, supplies. I mean, it's freezing cold down there right now. They have a cold front, so a lot of these people have no clothes to wear, no food. So Paul raised, I think it was over $12,000. Um, I forgot how much it was, but he raised a lot of money, a significant amount of money through some Instagram lives that he did, and he's really doing good through the whiskey community. So I want to give a shout out to Paul. Um, like I said, a really good friend of mine, and he's doing some good, and a lot of people are contributing to those, in need by donating money to the American Red Cross. And that is a fantastic thing. So it's beautiful how this whiskey community can come together and support those in need, when needed. Whiskey isn't something that we just like to consume together. Whiskey is a lifestyle. Whiskey is a passion, and it's amazing to see all these people come together. And obviously the people that were affected down there in Kentucky in that region. I've been thinking about them, and it just sucks, man. It sucks. I say that from up here in Connecticut, and I have never experienced something like that. We had Hurricane Sandy, but I wouldn't consider that even close to what happened down there, at least in my area. So my heart goes out to those guys, to those people, to those men and women and children that were affected, and I hope I know everything will get better. That's what America does. We rebuild bigger and better than ever. So, and just shout out to everyone who's been helping out down there and donating and doing their little part to make the lives of thousands of people just a little bit better after a horrific, tragic event. So, I wanted to really touch on that quickly before we get into the show. And I don't mean to start the show on a sour note, but these things happen in life, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it, But anyways, let's get into the whiskey today, you guys. Like I said, it's been a while since it's just been you and me. I've had some great guests on the past 2 weeks. I had my cousin Seth on the show 2 weeks ago for Whiskey with Kin number 5. We did some Whistle Pig 10-year straight rye whiskey. That was a great episode. Last week I had Daryl and Mike on the show. We did a Canadian Lot 40 Canadian rye whiskey flight, and that was an amazing experience that I really enjoyed, and I hope you guys did too. I know a lot of people reached out to me and said that they enjoyed the show, so I appreciate everyone who reached out for that, and I appreciate you guys, Daryl and Mike, for coming on. That was a fantastic experience. There's nothing else I can say about that. It was great. And I do have a guest next week that I will talk about at the end of the show. But this week, it's just me and you guys. It's just me and you. There's definitely plenty to talk about. There's for sure plenty to talk about. But, I love having guests on the show. Don't get me wrong. It's my favorite part of the show is being able to talk to all these different types of people about what we love, whiskey. But, I started the show just myself and a camera and a mic. And so there's something just very natural about that. There's something very organic about that. And I enjoy it. I enjoy this church, this venting of things that are on my mind. And what's on my mind right now is a little bit of Weller 107. Now, I've been meaning to do Weller 107 on the show for the longest time now. I found Weller 107 for the first time last year. Here in a store in Connecticut, and I think I paid like $45 for it, maybe $50 for it. We're gonna say MSRP is like $50 for sake of argument. and I was super excited. I had of course heard about Weller, seen Weller on the gram and on Facebook and stuff like that, but never seen it in person. And once I saw it, I scooped it up quick. And honestly, since then, it's been one of my favorites. I think I have probably 5 bottles between my 2 collections, aka my whiskey and my brother's whiskey. So it's grown into one of my favorites. I would consider it my daily drinker if it wasn't so friggin' hard to find. And it's not only that, it's a wheated bourbon. I love wheated bourbons. To go into a little bit of the history behind Weller 107, obviously it's a Buffalo Trace product. 107 proof, doesn't have an age statement. They say it's usually between 6 to 8 years. It's bottled with the same mash bill in the same warehouse and with the same barrels as Pappy 10. So a lot of people think that this is very comparable to a younger Pappy 10. The Weller brand is named after William LaRue Weller. Many people consider him the first person to use wheat as the secondary mash bill, or as a secondary grain in the mash bill for bourbon, opposed to the more commonly used rye, which is what 90% of bourbons are. I think we talked about this before on the show, but William LaRue Weller had hired Julian Van Winkle, Pappy Van Winkle, and their 2 companies merged to make the Stitzel Weller Distilling Company in 1935. They had one of the only medicinal licenses through Prohibition, so they've been producing whiskey for a very long time. Back in the day when Weller was easy to find, I don't remember this at all, but Weller Special Reserve, Weller Antique 107, and Weller, not full proof, Weller 12 year were the most common of the Weller lineup to be found on shelves. In fact, they were actually pretty common and pretty easy to find when the prices were like $20, $30, $40 respectively between the 3. Obviously now with what's happening in the whiskey world, they've become unicorns. They've become bottles that, people really hunt for. Even these kind of relatively cheaper bourbons in Weller Special Reserve and Weller 107, people love them. People go out of their way to get them. And I'm not going to lie, when I see a Weller on the shelf, my heart skips a beat. Still. I own a few of the green and red label, and my heart still skips a beat when I see that Weller on the shelf. It's just a fantastic looking bottle, especially the red and gold. It really doesn't get much better than this. So we're going to crack open a brand new Weller 107. I just killed my first bottle of 107 on Saturday watching UFC 269, which we were going to talk about. And this is like I said, a whiskey I've been waiting to do. I was trying to find the correct moment to do it. I figured I have a week by myself here on the show again. It's Christmas time. I'm in a good mood. I'm spending a shit ton of money on Christmas gifts. Oh my God. Oof, Maron. I'm spending so much money on Christmas gifts. That's what Christmas time's for. Everyone's got to be happy. But it's all good, man. It's all good. I love giving gifts, but I hate buying gifts. I wish that all the people that I need to buy for would just hand me a list and say, this is what I want, number 1, number 2, number 3. This is where you can find them. Here's the direct URL. I wish they would all email me these lists and just link the URL, make it a hyperlink so I can just click on it, buy it, and have it delivered the next day. And I wish I had someone to wrap all the presents for me. Oh my God, I'm thirsty. Jeez. The worst part about Christmas is actually buying the gifts. Now, I'm lucky where, I mooch off my dad's Amazon Prime, so I get free delivery, and, I'm honestly not afraid to spend money during Christmas. I'll drop a few a few hundo on one gift. So I usually give pretty good gifts, and I got some really good gifts this year for several of my family members. So I know they're going to like it. I know we'll have a good Christmas. Christmas isn't about the gifts, but I'm not going to lie. A big chunk of Christmas to me is the gifts. I love receiving gifts, mainly because my family is good at giving sentimental gifts, which I love. But I love giving gifts. I love looking at my brother's face when I got him UFC tickets a few years ago, or when I bought my mom one of those. I say a new TV. It was a Vizio TV. It was like $200. It wasn't like I'm buying her an 80-inch plasma screen. And then I remember, obviously, when I was a kid, the big gifts like the Xbox consoles and the baseball bats and the bicycles and things like that. That's what you think of when you think of Christmas. It's about family, but it's about gifts too. It's about family, but if I didn't get any gifts, I'd be pissed off, So, as much as I love the family time, I do look forward to the gifts, and that is, whether we like to admit it or not, that is part of Christmas. So what else is new before we go into the UFC fights? Elon Musk, I read today, was named Time Person of the Year. Kind of makes sense. But real quick, when did Elon Musk turn into like someone's parent? He looks like someone's dad who is trying to be like his son. Have you seen his haircut? He looks like that. I think it's the kid from Drew, the Nickelodeon show Drew. He looks like he just has a big hole, like one of those things you rub your shoes in to get the dirt off, on top of his head. It's ridiculous. But he has $1 trillion, so I guess he can do what he wants. And also, if he feels good in it, then I'm all for it. Elon Musk is someone that really intrigues me, and I could honestly make a whole episode about how Elon Musk intrigues me. And I won't do that because there are several things that Elon Musk does that I just don't know how he does it. And I've watched YouTube videos on him and tried to get into the man's head, but didn't work. But anyways, let's crack open this 107. Let's get a fresh bottle pop here. Oh, that was good. That was really good. Just get a little bit. It is a little late, so we don't need a whole lot. I already know I'm going to like this. So, I was sick last week, you guys. I got sick. I didn't get COVID. I tested myself twice, but I was sick. I had what I think was the flu, so without going too much into it, Monday I was fine. I went to work. Tuesday I was coughing a lot, so I went to my boss and I was like, hey man, I'm coughing a lot. I'll stay here if you want me to, but I can also go home and finish the day at home. It was like 9:30 in the morning. I just got to work like an hour before. He's like, just go home. I have a fantastic boss. He's a really cool guy. So I went home. Well, I went to my mom's house first. I had some tea, and I immediately got started on a Z-Pack. We keep Z-Packs in the house. We keep our prescriptions filled for moments like this. And thank God my parents do that. I started a Z-Pack immediately because I knew my brother and my dad were just getting over being sick. Started the Z-Pack, went home, took a nappy poo, right? As I do. When you go home from work early, you take a nappy poo. I woke up from said nappy poo, and I was sweating my dick off. I was dripping in sweat. So I'm like, okay, this is not good. This is not supposed to happen in December. So I took my temperature. It was like 101 degrees. And I'm like, shit. So I call my mom, who said it looked like I had a fever before. My mom knows me better than I know me. She said it looked like I had a fever before. I said, nah, I feel fine. I'm just a little stuffed up and I'm coughing and I just want some tea and I'm going to go home, sleep it off. I'll be good. Anyway, so I have a fever the rest of the day. I get a shit ton of water. I get Mucinex. I get a whole bunch of medicines ready. Just line them up. This is what I'm going to be taking. I have my brother get me some at-home COVID tests. I take 2 of them. They're both negative, so I know I don't have COVID. So I'm like, all right, I'll see how I feel in the morning. Maybe I can just work from home the next day. And this is just the brutal part. The next morning I wake up, it's 2:30 in the morning. I usually get up at 6, between 6 and 7. And I am shivering cold. Shivering cold. Actually, no, at this point I know I'm not going into work the next day. Because I tell them I have a fever. Obviously, I'm not going to go in to have a fever. So I know I can sleep in a little bit. 2:30, I know I can sleep until 8. And I am shivering cold. When I say, like, I've never been that cold in my life. Seriously. It was so weird. And I knew I was sick. But I was so tired. I just wanted to go right back to bed. And I was freezing. I was sleeping naked. I sleep naked. And I go, I use the bathroom. I turn the heater on the bathroom to like medium high. So that way when I wake up in the morning, it's warm. And I put on like 2 layers. I put on pajama pants, a sweatshirt. I get another blanket. I go back to bed. Probably the worst thing I could have done. Because I woke up and I had mentioned I was sweating when I woke up from my nappy poo. When I woke up from Betty Bye, my sheets were wet. I was sweating so much. I had a pounding headache. The worst headache I can remember having in the longest time. And I wake up and I don't want to get out of bed. My head's pounding. I know I have to take medicine to make myself feel better and to get the fever down. I know I have a fever. And I force myself to get up and I literally fall. I stand up and I fall. And I'm like, this is not good. And then I start to feel sick. So I go to the bathroom and I'm sweating so much. The bathroom heater is on medium high and I'm kicking myself in the ass. Like, why did I do that? So I turn it off. Like, and I'm not even looking at it. I'm just like reaching down and looking at it and turning it without even looking at it. Because my face is in the toilet because I'm trying to puke. And I'm sweating and I can't breathe out of my nose because I'm so stuffed up. And I'm just puking. But I'm not actually puking because I didn't have any food. I was dry heaving. Now, after that whole escapade, I felt a little bit better. I could eat some food and I was able to take my Tylenol, Motrin, Z-Pack, and Mucinex. And then I stayed up for a little bit. I think I watched 2 episodes of Hawkeye, which I want to talk about, but I think we're going to talk about the whole series once it's over. But for those watching, it's a fantastic show. At 4 episodes in, it's a fantastic show. And the rest of the day was, chill. My fever eventually broke. I got rid of the fever. I took my temperature that morning. It was 103 degrees. So that was the highest I ever got, 103. And basically just chilled that day. Didn't work. Thursday I worked from home. Still had a little bit of a fever, but felt way better. Friday I felt back to normal. Coughing and sniffling still. And Saturday, Sunday I felt basically normal. And today I've barely taken any medicine. That's what happens when you just wrestle in the dirt when you're a kid and you go snake hunting like I did. And when I lived in North Stonington, I remember going out into the swamps and looking for snakes when I was a kid. I had a big book. I remember I helped my dad when I was a kid and we lived in North Stonington clean the barn without asking. Like, he didn't ask me to help him. I just swept up all the hay. And this is actually so sweet. As a thank you, he said, "All right, Connor, what do you want? What do you want for that?" And I said, "I wanted a book about snakes." So nerdy. So he bought me a book of every North American snake there was. It was a thick encyclopedia, and I read it like 5 times, I remember. I wish I still had it. It might have been not every snake. It might have been every animal. And I would study it, and I'd go in the back woods of my house. I remember, like, if you went back far enough, there was like a little pond, like with running water, and I would go back there and I would look for snakes. And I found one a few times. I never touched them because I was a pussy. I was scared. But anyways, that's why I basically beat. I didn't have corona, but I mean, probably did. But no, I beat the flu in like a day and a half. So now, did I use it to my advantage and have my mom drop off snacky poos to me all throughout the day, multiple times? Yeah, I sure did. And did she buy me a bunch of ice cream and chips and Gatorades and stuff? Yeah, she did. I'm a mama's boy, but it's awesome having, when you're still a kid, when you're an adult, but you're still kind of a kid and you get sick, it's basically like, I was basically getting treated like a hot chick. Like how hot chicks are treated by every dude. I was getting anything I wanted. It's like, hey mom, give me some ice cream. Bang. Give me a blue Gatorade. Give me a blue Gatorade with the sucky, like the twist cap that you suck. Bang, had it. Hey mom, can you get me some more Advil? I ran out. Had it. It's awesome. It's a bad analogy, but see, I still can't laugh like a lot. I start coughing. Let's get into the whiskey. I went out on a huge tangent. I'm sorry. If we're going to get into the nose here, it just smells like a lot of nice things. Cinnamon, vanilla. I get honey. I get a little bit of spearmint on there. No bite. A little butterscotch. Let me go to the UFC fights. I can load them up. Yeah, just a little bit of dark fruit in there too. Just everything you would think of with a weeded bourbon is what Weller 107 is. Another thing about being sick, today's the first day I didn't have to take nose spray. I usually take Afrin multiple times throughout the day when I'm sick. Today's the first day I didn't have to, and I can actually smell this. What jumps out to me here is the vanilla and the cinnamon. And the darker fruits. I don't remember getting a whole lot of dark fruit on this in the past. A little bit of oak is in there as well. Just a great nose, inviting. There's not much to say about it. It smells like a weeded bourbon nose. It's inviting, it's rich, and it's complex enough where you know there's multiple things going on. Excuse me. But it's simple enough where you can give this to somebody, and I feel like they could maybe print, like if you said, can you smell vanilla? They would smell it. Can you smell like, let's say like dark, it's not even a dark cherry, just like dark plumminess. They would say yes. Can you smell the cinnamon? I feel they would say yes. It's just a nice mix of both. So we're going to take a sip on this whiskey here. We're going to break down the UFC fights real quick. Let's drink some whiskey, talk some fights, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Episode 57 of Who Gives a Dram? Is this episode 57? Yes, episode 57 of Who Gives a Dram. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's drink some whiskey. Cinnamon. Lots of cinnamon. Vanilla. The 107 proof is just perfect. Lots of vanilla on the back end. A plethora of vanilla on the back end. A little bit of a tobacco note on the back end. Nothing dark on the palate. None of that dark fruit I get. I get cinnamon, vanilla, tobacco sweetness on there. Maybe even a little bit of a molasses note. It's just that cinnamon heat is nice. It's oaky. That's good. That's good stuff. That is good stuff. There's not a whole lot to say about Weller 107. Weller 107 is a staple, and if it's not one of your staples, it should be one of your staples. UFC 269 happened this weekend. I got the fights pulled up here. I want to start with Dominic Cruz versus Pedro Munoz. So Dominic Cruz, where to start with this? He was the third fight on the prelims, the third of 4 fights. He defeated Pedro Munoz by unanimous decision. I think it was 49-48 times 3. Now, Dominic Cruz, to me, I don't have any respect for Dominic Cruz anymore ever since he bashed Daniel Cormier live on TV. If you're a friend, you don't do that. You don't say you mute someone when they commentate, when you also commentate, because it makes you look like an asshole, like you think you're better than him, which is not the case. 10 out of 10 people would say they'd rather have DC than Dominic Cruz commentating. Coincidentally, they're both the DC, now that I think about it. Anyways, Dominic Cruz got dropped twice the first round, didn't look good. But he came back the second and third round and kind of beat up Pedro Munoz, which was impressive because Pedro Munoz, recently knocked the fuck out of Cody Garbrandt. Forgot what he did before that. Let's see, what did he do? He lost to Jose Aldo. That's what it was. He's fought quite a bit since Cody Garbrandt. Yeah, he won. He knocked out Cody Garbrandt. Then he lost to Aljamain Sterling. He lost to Frankie Edgar. He won against Jimmy Rivera. I remember that fight. Then he lost to Jose. So he's been losing to big names. He's been losing to the top of the division. But I don't think Dominic Cruz is on the top of the division anymore. I think that he gets beat by anyone in the top 5. I think he looked sloppy in parts of the fight, and I just think that you need to have power to be a legit contender now because everyone is so well-rounded. Dominic Cruz is not going to knock anybody out. He literally throws punches with his arms fully extended, and like the angles that he throws them, he'll touch you and he'll point you up, but he's not going to knock you out. And I think if he gets to someone like Peter Yan, even Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, they're just gonna walk right through those punches, and they're gonna get inside with Dominic Cruz, turn it into a rumble. And Dominic Cruz does not do well in rumbles. Look at his fight versus Cody Garbrandt. He lost to Cody Garbrandt. How do you lose against Cody Garbrandt? Let's see here. The main event of the prelims: Josh Emmett beat Dan 50K Ige. Dan 50K Ige. Good fight. I had Dan Ige winning, but I predicted him to win, but Josh Emmett definitely won the fight. He won by unanimous decision. To open up the card, we had where's the O'Malley fight? We had Sean O'Malley. He beat up on Raulian Paiva, who was 21-3 at the time. So a legit not a contender, but a legit fight. O'Malley knocked him out in the first round, pieced him up with a beautiful combination. Slipped a strike from Paiva, landed a right hand of his own. Got him up against the fence a little bit, landed a flurry, landed a big uppercut. Paiva fell to the ground. O'Malley hammer fist to end the fight. And what I love about O'Malley he's been really active this year. So, I mean, he's fighting cans for the most part. He's fighting tomato cans. Let's be real. He's not fighting anyone who's a legit contender. But I love that for O'Malley because when you have someone who's a legit star, you need to groom him a little bit. O'Malley's 27 years old. He's still young. He's got so much time, and he's so exciting to watch. I do think that they give him a top 15 opponent, and I think they rank him probably number 15. If I had to guess, the rankings aren't out right now as I record this. It's just a very, very impressive win for Sean O'Malley. He's one of my favorite fighters. I love his style. I love how patient he is with his strikes and how he controls the distance better than almost anyone in the UFC. I mean, you have McGregor, Stylebender, Peter Yan, Max Holloway, all great strikers, all world-renowned strikers. O'Malley's up there, I think. He's young, but I really think he's up there. He's a big bantamweight. I can see him being the champion of the division. I can see him making a big run. We'll see. I don't know for certain. He has lost once already, although it was a fluke. I really hope he gets to make that up against Chito Vera, because Chito Vera he's gonna fight a top 5 opponent next, and I really hope O'Malley and Vera could run that back. Imagine if they ran that back for the championship. That'd be intense. Let's take another sip of whiskey here. Ooh, that second sip was a lot of cinnamon. A lot of just cinnamon and vanilla. The 107 proof on this just comes beautifully out, especially on the back end. It lingers just the perfect amount of time. It feels like the entirety of my mouth. Like it's a full-bodied experience. I love this dram. Second fight of the main card, Kai Kara France knocked out Cody Garbrandt. I hate Cody Garbrandt, okay? Cody Garbrandt is he's lost 4 of his last 5, all by knockout. He got knocked out by Dillashaw twice. He got knocked out by Pedro Munoz. He was decisioned by Rob Font. And then he tried to move down to 125, and he got knocked the fuck out by Kai Kara France. I knew this was going to happen. I called it. I picked that fight. I picked Kara France to win this, even though he was the underdog. I just think that Cody Garbrandt, as soon as he gets hurt a little bit, that he doesn't move his head when he strikes, which is, I don't know how he beat Dominic Cruz, but that means he's going to get clipped. And once he gets clipped, when you get clipped by Dominic Cruz, it doesn't hurt because he's throwing from 5 feet away, and it's like an angle. It's like a 187-degree angle that he's throwing. With someone who can actually box, they land clean, and it's gonna. If you're not moving your head, you're gonna get clipped, and it's gonna do some damage. That's what happens with Cody Garbrandt. And instead of wrestling or backing away, he tries to ignite a brawl. And it never works out in his favor. Seriously, it never works out in his favor. It didn't work out for either Dillashaw fight. It didn't work out for the Munoz fight. And it did not work out for this fight. So I think Garbrandt and O'Malley should fight next. They had some beef. I think that should be the next fight. If I was Sean Shelby, that's the fight that I would make. I'm not Sean Shelby, so I can't do that. But I think there's enough bad blood. I think Cody Garbrandt, he's not going to have any success at 125. You might as well just move up where he's comfortable, where he was a former champion, and get that big payday for Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley has a huge name in front of him who's probably going to be ranked in probably like 11 or 12 in the bantamweight division because it's so stacked right now. And I just think it's a perfect matchup. There's already bad blood there, and I think it's a very winnable fight for Sean O'Malley. Jeff Neal defeated Santiago Ponzinibbio by split decision. Entertaining fight. Nothing special about it. Jeff Neal just got twisted for a DWI. So at that point, I knew he was going to win because you get embarrassed when that happens to you. And you don't want to get embarrassed again. So I knew that was going to happen. I did pick Jeff Neal as well. He was an underdog, I think. It was kind of slow paced in some moments, but entertaining fight nonetheless. This was just a primer, a warm-up to our co-main event, which was Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. And Amanda Nunes is known as the women's greatest of all time. She knocked out Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, Holly Holmes, Cyborg. She just tapped Megan Anderson. She defeated Jermaine Durand. I mean, she's just beat anybody of significance. Valentina Shevchenko twice, even though she lost the second time. She's defeated everybody of significance in the women's bantamweight and the women's featherweight divisions. which is 135 and 145 pounds for women. Juliana Pena hasn't won two fights in a row in the UFC ever. She was a minus 650, and Amanda Nunes was a plus 1,000. That tells you how lopsided this fight was. The first round, Amanda Nunes landed some good shots within like 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden she looked like she didn't even train. Like she just gassed. And Juliana Pena started landing some big shots. The fight got to the ground for the last like a minute and 30 seconds, and towards the end of that, Juliana Pena was setting up a nice Kimura lock, and they blow the bell. The round ends. They come out for round two. And Amanda Nunes is just throwing with Juliana Pena, but she's throwing wild. She's taking deep breaths. There's no power behind these shots. Juliana Pena is countering Amanda Nunes, and Juliana Pena ends up clinching with Amanda Nunes, takes her down easy, takes her back, and within 10 seconds, doesn't even have a full choke in, has one arm around Amanda Nunes' face, and Amanda Nunes taps. Juliana Pena has one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. And she's the new champion. Nobody expected that. I did not expect that to happen. I have a theory about what did happen. It's 10:09 here right now. Perfect dram to have at 10:09 p.m. I'll tell you that much. My theory of what happened was I don't think Amanda Nunes trained. I don't think she trained for the fight. I think she just kind of took it off. She's happy with where she's at. She has a kid. She has a wife. She's happy. She's made, according to Dana White, a shit ton of money. What else does she have to prove? Is she just going to keep on fighting these no-names? So she has a big rematch, with Juliana Pena that a lot of people will tune in for. I do like her chances against Juliana Pena. I really don't think Amanda Nunes trained for this fight. And in my mind, she's a coward. I don't like her anymore. I'm rooting for Juliana Pena in the rematch. Shout out Juliana Pena. You deserve that shit. I did not think you were going to win. Main event, Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. And this was honestly not even that close of a fight. I love Dustin Poirier, even though he beat my guy McGregor twice, technically. Even though him and McGregor have some bad blood, I love Dustin Poirier, and he's been one of my top 5 fighters since I started following the UFC in 2015. However, Dustin Poirier does great when the fight is kept to the outside and a brawl is ignited on his own terms. If someone can ignite a brawl, it also has the potential to take your back and choke you out at any second. It's not a good matchup for Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier looked like he got tired real quick. He may have won the first round barely. I don't know, but the second round was a 10-8 regardless. He spent the entire round on his back. Charles Oliveira mauled him and was in the guard position the entire round. And the third round, Oliveira literally put himself on Poirier's back like a backpack and put him in a standing guillotine and choked him out. The first round was entertaining. Lots of good back and forth. Oliveira got clipped a few times. Dustin Poirier got clipped a few times. Dustin Poirier probably won the round, but it was close. And after the second round, you could tell Dustin Poirier just didn't want to try to get out of the position he was in because he didn't want to have the chance of Oliveira getting to his back and taking his neck, because when Oliveira gets to your back, he's going to take your neck. He has the most submission wins in UFC history for a reason. The guy's lanky. The guy's spindly. The guy has very blonde, bleach-dyed blonde hair. And that didn't happen, so I knew what Dustin Poirier was doing. I knew he was basically taking the round off, declaring to lose that round rather than lose the fight, potentially trying to move position. Round 3 was just dominating fashion. Oliveira put himself on Poirier like a backpack. Now, moving forward, and I am this podcast is going on kind of long, so we're gonna end it here in a second. I'm gonna give my rating for 107 here in a second, but here's what I think's happening from the main event. Poirier, if I was matchmaking if it was me making the calls, I would advise, if I was Paul Heyman to Dustin Poirier, I would advise my client to not take the 155-pound cut for the next fight. Take a fight at 170 and fight Colby Chaos Covington. There's bad blood. It's a great matchup for both of them. They're both strikers. Colby Covington has a great wrestling base and fantastic cardio and a fantastic chin. Dustin Poirier sets a great pace, has great cardio, has a great chin, and can box with the best of them. So I think it's set up to be a great fight. I think I edge Colby Covington in the matchup, but it's a great fight for Dustin Poirier. He makes a bag doing it. That could main event a pay-per-view, I think, if not be, co-main to a huge, maybe like McGregor card or something. I don't think McGregor-Poirier happens next. Charles Oliveira is going to fight Justin Gaethje, and I don't like that matchup for Oliveira. I think Oliveira does great against anybody who doesn't push the pace on them. Gaethje has a suspect chin, which would give Oliveira the only way to beat Gaethje. Otherwise, Gaethje is just going to march forward. He's not going to be afraid of getting taken down, and he's just going to throw bombs, and Gaethje sleeps people. And Oliveira has been shown to be able to get hit every fight. He nearly lost 10-8 to Chandler. He lost 10-9 to Poirier, both in the first rounds, and he got knocked both times. He got slapped both times. So I don't know if I like his chances against Gaethje. I don't know where I put my money. It'd be a great fight. I think that's the next fight moving forward. And that's my recap of UFC 269. It was a great night of fights. I enjoyed myself very much. I was with my family, drinking, bottle killing my first bottle of a Weller 107. Thankfully, I have 2 backups. And I just really enjoyed the night. I really enjoyed the night. Now, it is past my bedtime. It is 10:15, so I need to wrap this up. My general consensus on Weller 107. The palate's delicious. Cinnamon and vanilla take over the palate. A little bit of oak and tobacco on the finish. It's right up my alley. There's no rye spice on this. There's a little bit of barrel spice due to the 107 proof. I think for $50 a bottle, this is about as good as bourbon gets. It doesn't really get better than this. It's got everything that you would want in a bourbon. It's got the complexity of different notes, yet it's simple enough because it's a wheated bourbon, because wheated bourbons typically have the same-ish taste, where even a novice, I think, could enjoy this. I just got a 3-ounce pour of Weller 107 at a new restaurant in downtown here 2 weekends ago for $13. 3 ounces for $13, which was awesome. Shout out Surf Cantina. But overall, what's really gonna hurt the score on this is the availability. I think this would probably be at least a 9.5. If maybe even a 9.6, if it wasn't so damn hard to find, and if I didn't find it for $150 in some places, like I did tonight. Due to that, I'm gonna minus it to 3.3 points based on a 9.6. I'm gonna give it a 9.3. It is, it's up there with my favorite bourbons. I would put this in my top 5 without a doubt. Actually, you know what? 9.4. 9.4. That's gonna be stamped. It's right up there with Colonel Each Taylor Small Batch. It's right up there with Larceny Barrel Proof for me. It's right up there with the best of the best Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs. It's right up there with my favorite scotches that are really high scored. This is in my top 5 pours of all time. And I will take that. I will, as the kids say, I will die on that hill. So 9.4 Weller 107, stamp that in. And with that being said, it is time for me to go to bed. I appreciate you guys tuning in for episode 57 of Who Gives a Dram. Next week, I said we were gonna announce a special guest. Next week, I'm going to have the man behind my theme music, my intro music, and my outro music on the show live in person. We're going to get it on video. Fingers crossed, I hope. Nick Bossy's going to come on the show. My buddy Nick Bossy, I asked him if he'd come on the Christmas episode. He's one of my best friends, so, I knew he was going to be down. We've been talking about it ever since I started the show. And I'm going to go to his house. He's got a whole setup just for me. And we're going to talk whiskey, we're going to talk music, and maybe he'll even sing us a song or two, because he does have a voice that sounds like a mixture of Fergie and Jesus, so I hope he does. So look forward to that next week. You guys, make sure you're subscribed on all platforms so you don't miss an episode. Tell your friends about Who Gives a Dram. Leave us a rating on iTunes. Make sure you're subscribed on Spotify. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you like and comment on the videos on YouTube. And I am going to have a few big announcements coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. This week, though, I am going to have Nick Bossy playing me out What Happened to Country, as he always does every single week. And to the people in Kentucky, again, my heart is with you guys. To the people in that region, my heart is with you guys. And this whiskey community is the best. I feel privileged to know so many great people in this community that are currently helping those in need down there. So you guys are in my thoughts. And as always, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in for another week. And don't forget, whiskey's the water of life. So let's start living.
My hands are tired from paying my bills, staring at a bottle, I'm aiming to kill. The weeks passing by and the seasons keep changing. I'm playing my song, trying to make me a name. People say as they walk out the bar, the kid's gone places, maybe even a star. But they don't play country down in Nashville today, just the same chord progression with nothing to say. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. They use auto-tune now down on Music Row, 'cause true country died there a long time ago. No, they don't play Waylon on the boulevard, but they'll do anything to be rock stars. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. But I do believe there is hope for us yet, 'cause there's millions of people who cannot forget the way Johnny Cash brought a tear to their eyes, or how Marty Robbins painted Texas skies. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes? Writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. A grown man cry. A grown man cry. I won't let country die.